What's up, guys? Amster Knows Hoops back today with another video. And real quick before we get started, I want to thank you guys for all your love and support. We're almost up to 620 subs. I'm trying to hit 700 by this time next month. We've got some fun stuff coming up. Power ranking, all the teams will probably be the next video. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, join the Discord. And as always, guys, this is Amster Knows Hoops. And today we are talking about the explosion of Brandon Miller over the last about month. So since the 19th of January, Brandon Miller is averaging 22, 5, and 3 on 49 from the field, 40 from 3, 88 from the line with about 1.9 stocks, steals, and blocks. And let's get right into what Brandon Miller has been doing so well. And the first thing we got to talk about is the scoring. It's just far more efficient. He's finally getting the ball in his hands more, and he's finally looking like what people were projecting him to be, right? So he gets Reeves, gets Richards on the screen. AD is sunk just enough, and AR doesn't get back in time. Incredible mid-range. Brandon Miller's mid-range game, we are going to get into that here in a minute once these scoring clips are done, but man, he's been lethal from the midi. So right here, right, gets the ball out the Bridges. And again, it's part of it is too is that Miller can play off ball, right? And he gets a little fake DHO. Here's got D'Lo one-on-one. And once D'Lo goes, I almost said something crazy. But once D'Lo sort of, reaches, right? You see that he just sort of commits, right? Brandon Miller kind of messes him up with that dribble move. At that point, he never really catches up, and Hachimura doesn't really want to commit because, Miles Bridges is a good shooter. So then, boom, another mid-range shot. I mean, this kid has been insane this last month. He's finally looking like he's figuring it out. He's just had his slump more at the beginning versus, sometimes we see a lot of rookies start off super hot and then they kind of not slump, but they sort of come back, they cool off, right? Okay. Again, Brandon Miller off ball, right? Gets Taurean Prince off of him, right? Forces Richards right here, gets the DHO, screens again, right? Has Prince on him. Does a great job because, again, Prince doesn't force himself back up. Now, to me, even though he misses this shot technically, because for whatever reason they count this as his bucket, even though you see that Richards pushes it back in, my apologies, is that Miller looks much more fluid of a scorer now. And what I mean by that is sometimes with rookies, especially when they're more, they're expected to be more isolation guys, especially because Brandon Miller is like the 16th different prospect now that was allegedly going to be Paul George. At times, the moves don't just translate off the rip. But Miller attacking now just looks way better than before. And let's continue on, right? Miller's just really been showing what he can be for this team. So, gets the screen here with Richards and just goes right at AD, right? And this right here is just, I think part of it too is just the confidence is there now. Right, like that's AD, one of the better rim protectors, but the way that he sort of waits with his hand, right? Reeves is basically behind him at this point. AD already put his hand up, and Miller does a perfect job of timing when AD's hand's coming down to then going for the easy lay against the glass, right? And this is against one of the better defenses in the league too. So this isn't against like some scrub team that is no good. And then coming up here, right, we're going to talk about part of it is going to be the defense. But again, just take a look, right? Brandon Miller's defense here is really good first, right? Gets the tip, boom. Pushing. Even with Hachimura catching up, right? The athleticism of him is insane. Just goes right up with it to slam it down. Like, it's incredible. Like, that's just an incredible finish, right? And that's the other thing is that he has such finesse, but when you really need something from him, he can step up with just a sheer shooting ability. So to further this, cleaning the glass in that stretch since the 19th of January, he's 51% from the mid-range. And he's taken almost 100 shots in the midi too. So it's not like on he's shooting like 25 shots and he's hit what? No. Like it's on a pretty high volume. And he's shooting it. And he's confident. And now, do I think that all these numbers are necessarily sustainable efficiency-wise? Not necessarily. But I think he's figuring it out. And I think it's clear that it's really starting to work for him. And sure, he'll have a game or two where he struggles. I mean, again, none of these dudes are like Michael Jordan as a rookie, which is perfectly okay. And then I want to talk about Brandon Miller as a defender. Because I think for this team, especially considering they are pretty poo-poo on defense, Brandon Miller showing defensive flashes is going to be necessary, right? Even though, right, this pass gets tipped off, right? Gets the ball to Shea, right? Screen with Lou Dort. Miller's always there, right? Pushes it out of the way. And Wiggins is there again, right? After this push in by Brandon Miller, right? Because this is almost a twofold play, right? This is a great play by Martin. Couldn't quite get control of the ball, but he's still fighting, right? Okay, Wiggins gets the ball back. And Miller's already prepared because he knows Wiggins doesn't want to take that shot. And Lou Dort is like a 40% three-point shooter. They still probably would have left him open. But Miller read it, right? It's just the IQ and the things are starting to come in. And that to me is huge, right? Just the reads defensively are just so much better now, right? And now it's out to Jimmy, and Miller immediately steps up to the assignment, right? And he's already calling up for a little screen action, fights over it. And at this point, right, Brandon Miller's sort of preparing for an outward pass. And again, it's just the defensive anticipation that I think is super important. Like, again, these are things that are not built in the first days. Like, not everyone can be an Asar Thompson off the rip defensively. They just can't. But to me, it's just the reads that he makes, especially in the passing lanes, right? Jaime here that's a nice pass. That's a decent pass, but Brandon Miller read it. And he's like, no, you're not getting that. And then he helps push the tempo, which is important when you're playing these kinds of teams. I mean, to me, guys, what Brandon Miller offers defensively shows real potential. Like, I think at his best, he could maybe be an all-defensive guy. Like, if he really got the opportunity, right? But I think what Brandon Miller recognizes here that's so good, right? And Champagne here is going to cut. Miller recognizes it. Now, the bounce right to him is very lucky, but the idea remains because Miller knows that, again, the way the Spurs like to play, they like to run that sort of offense. So defensively, guys, I think this kid has real talent. Like, I don't know if Brandon Miller's the next superstar of the league, but man, guys, I'll say one thing. Charlotte was right, at least for now. I remember we all said draft Scoot, take Scoot, right? Because especially the way Scoot was talked about. Now, of course, Scoot can still turn it around, but man, right now they ain't looking that crazy with what they did. This kid got real potential. Now I want to talk about him as a passer / playmaker. Now, to be 100% honest, in the film I've watched, I wouldn't really say he's anything that good. I think he's all right. But it's the reads that he's starting to show and make and, kind of get to that I think once LaMelo eventually actually plays with him for a good period of time, he'll be a really good second to third option playmaker, like passer, like a tertiary guy that if they got the ball in their hands, it's not just a black hole. So let's get into it, right? Gets Nick Richards here, right? Loses the ball. Oh, this is a block. My apologies. Pushes, blocks. Again, just sheer athleticism, guys. Like, it's insane. But then let's look at him as a passer, playmaker, right? Gets Miles Bridges here. And you're going to see Miller here standing off to the corner. Again, the off-ball movement is actually pretty solid from him at times. So he starts to cut, right? Expecting, anticipating. And this is on Pat Bev on him, right? And Pat Bev, fights. Pushes up onto Pat Bev. And this here to me was just a beautiful move. Because Brook Lopez steps in at that point immediately. You see it. His foot's on the restricted area. He committed all the way. And at that point, Nick Richards, tough layup. But that's a smart read. Force a big like Brook Lopez to commit. You've got to beat if you got someone, quicker footed. And this is when he had LaMelo, right? So take a look. And this is earlier in his season. That to me is a great read. He makes these reads well. I just don't think up until a certain point, he really necessarily had the chance to show he can make them. And in part because you got Terry Rozier, LaMelo, guys just who are better passer playmakers. But this is a beautiful pass, guys. I don't know what more to really say, right? I mean, Tatum sort of gets caught ball watching. Hayward just completely goes backdoor. Boom. Beautiful pass. Easy dunk. Those are the sort of plays you want to see your rookie making, right? Off this miss, right? Miles gets the ball. LaMelo gets it. Goes over to Brandon Miller. At that point, Hauser just committed fully over. Easy corner three. And some of these playmaking things, too, are in bigger moments. These aren't like no moments. And just immediately goes out to Gordon Hayward. Doesn't even think about trying to score for himself. Tries to go out to somebody else to try and force a win. So I guess what I'm trying to tell you guys here is what Brandon Miller is doing is not luck. Like, this isn't like a Linsanity, like, oh, he had a nice month and now he's going to go back to being like 14, 13 points a game. I think this kid is showing that he's going to be a legitimate 20 plus per game scorer in this league. And he's doing it against good teams. Are they winning? Well, they're actually on a 3-game winning streak now. And the thing is, too, is that this is without LaMelo. And I think, to some extent, he might look even better when LaMelo comes back, because then he doesn't have all those burdens of a ball handler. Because, again, I think he's a good ball handler, no doubt. But again, like I was just telling you guys, I think he's a second to third passer, playmaker, initiator. He's not meant to be your guy. Part of it is, too, they got to fire Clifford. That's my other thing. They need to get a new coach and really let Brandon Miller and LaMelo do what they do best. But as always, guys, this is M for Nose Hoops. Let me know what you think in the comments. What do you think of this recent run from Brandon Miller? Is this what you all expected? Has he really shocked you with just how well he's been doing and how efficient he's been playing? Let me know what you guys think down below. As always, this is M for Nose Hoops. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Have a beautiful rest of your day, guys. Peace out.